They say that all good things come to those who wait, but that's not true in art. Sometimes you have to go and get what you want. And that's just what happened when a young artist named Pablo Picasso went to an art supply store in Paris and found a box of discarded ready-made cardboard. In this episode of Art Uncovered, we'll see how Picasso used these humble beginnings to create some of the most important works of his career. Want to know more about the big kahuna himself? Well, then make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. The year is 1911, and Picasso has just moved to Paris. He'd only been there a few weeks when he did something totally out of character. He rented a studio. Get it? Because usually he was all about keeping his living arrangements simple, even if it meant sleeping out on the streets or moving from place to place with his luggage in tow. But this time was different. This move was a sign that Picasso was ready to take his art to the next level. And just a month later, he was introduced to a new type of cardboard box, sturdy, cheap, and in every shape and form. These boxes were perfect for an artist looking to explore three-dimensional forms. So much so that in his first year alone in Paris, Picasso would produce over 30 sculptures using this medium. Picasso was no stranger to sculpture. He'd been creating small sculptures since he was a teenager and had even briefly attended an academy in Barcelona to study it. But up until this point, he'd always worked with clay or plaster, materials that were expensive and difficult to transport. Cardboard, on the other hand, was cheap and easy to work with. So easy, in fact, that Picasso would often complete a sculpture in a single day. He'd start by flattening out the cardboard, then draw his subject directly onto it. He'd cut around the drawing, leaving a little extra room to glue the edges together. Then he'd score the lines on the inside of the cardboard, fold it along those lines, and glue the pieces together. Voila! A three-dimensional artwork. Some of his sculptures were abstract, based on geometric shapes and everyday objects like bottles and pipes. Others were figurative, featuring musicians, acrobats, and other performers. But regardless of the subject matter, all of these works shared one thing in common: a flat appearance. That's because Picasso wasn't interested in creating lifelike sculptures that tricked the eye. Instead, he wanted to emphasize the two-dimensional surface of the cardboard, the very medium that made these sculptures possible. Picasso was also influenced by African art, which often features geometric patterns and bold colors. In turn, Picasso's sculptures paved the way for a new style of art called Cubism. Unlike traditional Western painting, which emphasized perspective, realism, and the illusion of depth, Picasso's sculptures and paintings fragmented forms, flattened space, and presented multiple perspectives all at once. By 1912, Picasso was ready to take his art in a new direction. He'd been experimenting with collage, a technique in which he cut out images from newspapers and magazines and glued them onto canvas. And now he wanted to combine collage and sculpture. The result was groundbreaking. Picasso created assemblages by gluing real-life objects like wallpaper, curtain rods, and bottle caps onto his sculptures. These assemblages were unlike anything seen before. They were playful, irreverent, and utterly unique. Unfortunately, not everyone appreciated Picasso's unique style. In 1912, he exhibited one of his sculptures at the Salon d'Automne in Paris. It was met with such a negative response that Picasso removed it from the show. But he didn't let the critics get him down. He continued to experiment with new materials and techniques, and his work became more and more popular. By the 1920s, he was a household name and his sculptures were in high demand. But despite his success, Picasso never forgot his roots. He continued to use cardboard and other found objects in his work, and he remained passionate about making art accessible to everyone. As art historian William Camfield said, Picasso's art was a constant challenge to complacency, a reminder to remain free and open to the unexpected. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. We're always looking for talented artists to feature on our channel. If you're interested in submitting your work, please visit our website for more information.